Hello, hello, hello. So, it is day 15 of 21 for 21 days of celebration. Got windows popping up here. Just a few more days. Just a few more days. So today it's kind of an interesting one. Um, I've been in creation and also destruction mode. So today I am grateful for the cycles of destruction and creation, which is like an interesting thing to be grateful for. But, um, and I also just talked about gratitude for the last hour. So gratitude is in all shapes, sizes, and forms with a little bit of delusion because I'm tired from all of the creation. But cycles of creation and destruction. So, in the last 6 months, there's been a lot of, I'll say, destruction. In the last year, there's been a lot of destruction. In the last 3 years, there's been a lot of destruction. And by destruction, I mean kind of things just changing in my life. So it's been like cycles of change, cycles of change, cycles of change. And it's interesting because in order for us to create new and have expanded and more, oftentimes something needs to go. Something needs to disappear and or deliberately be burned down. And sometimes we're not willing to see that. Sometimes we're not willing to take the action to actually do the burning, to intentionally destroy. And I I'm reminded of, so in tarot there is the Tower card, and usually when you get the Tower card it's like something's ending. It's almost like death, like the death card where something, there's an ending. It's like, but with every ending there is a beginning. But Tower, you think things crumbling down, crashing down. And I'm also I'm also reminded of, so I'm gonna date myself here, but so when I was little, I loved the Disney Channel, and I say the Disney Channel was good back then. It's not all like crazy now, crazy like it is now. But when I was a fan of the Disney Channel, they had these, like, I want to say like animated shorts, and it was in between the like scheduled programming, but they were kind of like maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, but they were always like a story of like Johnny Appleseed or Paul Bunyan or something like that. It was like fable type stories, but they always had like a song and some sort of storyline. And I looked forward to the little shorts. And one of them, I don't remember which one it was, but I just remember the line, "They all fall down." And it's like a whole chorus of people singing, "They all fall down." And every time I think of the Tower card, or kind of that death card, or thinking about a shift happening, whether I want it to or not, because I'm going to talk about a lot of things that have happened, when I don't want them to. I think that like that sing song voice kind of pops in my head of "They all fall down," and just like things fall down, they also come back together. So like Humpty Dumpty, they all put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So I've been thinking about the destruction that's been happening. Like I said, in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of unintentional not on purpose, destruction, um, in a good way, now that I can reflect on it. Sometimes hard, sometimes easy, but lots of kind of just shifts and like changes so I can move forward in my life in multiple areas. So reflecting back on those things and specifics like let's see what's happened in the last 2 years, um, energy healing, getting certifications for that, or like not renewing certain things, like getting something and then deciding not to renew it, or getting something and deciding not to use it, or um, being with an organization and deciding it's no longer a fit, or um, having that decided for you, which I've actually had that happen several times in my life, which is interesting. Um, Not in a like go on your record get fired type of way, but just like things happen and it's not a fit. So I've been thinking about the the death of these situations, the leaving actually one job in particular. I can tell the story now. I can reflect on it and be like, yeah, I'm actually grateful that happened. Um, so my first consulting job, I I went on site, so like working on site with the client after I think after a year, and I had completely changed paths from being in physical therapy and like doing the whole sports medicine thing. It wasn't floating my boat. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I thought it would be. The expectations were there. So I knew there was something else that I wanted to do, and I had an opportunity to do it. So I got into consulting, and I had to navigate my way through consulting. So I'm on this project. I meet some interesting people. They had been in consulting for a long time. And I end up on client site. No, I didn't know that when they say you go on client site, like you just go and they don't care how you get there. You just need to be there and you need to do your job. I didn't know that. So I was going an hour each direction plus. That's when like that's when my planes, trains, and automobiles started. Because I used to have to drive to the metro and then ride the metro an hour and then go from the metro to a shuttle bus to get to the building. It was an ordeal. So I didn't know that they didn't care. They just wanted you on the job. And when I was on the job, it was very difficult for me because it was just a difficult situation. I'm not going to get into it. But little did I know, they didn't actually want me there. All of the people that I worked with didn't want me there. And I didn't know that. I'm just like bipping along trying to figure my way out and do the best job that I could. So I ended up working late one night, and I don't even remember what happened, but I was there late, the client was there late. The client got in my face and yelled at me, and I yelled back, and then I left. The next day, I was asked to leave the project, not the company. I was asked to leave the project. They had arranged it. The client had already like everyone knew except for me. Like I walked into a meeting and the client was like, "Oh, I heard today's your last day," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." But it wasn't a good situation. I didn't need to be there, and it took that for me to experience that, to understand all of the dynamics, to get out of the situation. And then ultimately I did end up leaving the company, and then I found another really good company and like ended up having an amazing career. But I say I can look back on that situation and be grateful for it because I saw I see so many things that I learned about myself, I learned about people, I learned about, client dynamics. I learned so much from that situation. And that I'm going to stand up for myself no matter what. So like don't yell at me. But I needed to experience that because there's so many things that came out from it downstream that I can credit for it. So I went through it. There was the destruction, the leaving and the unfolding, the aftermath, but there was so much good that came, and I grew from it. So that was the destruction, and then the creation was, okay, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Where do I want to work? What type of environment am I going to be comfortable working in? What type of people would I like to work around? All of that I was able to create from that experience. So there was a very, very abrupt ending, and I learned how to stand up for myself in a professional setting. So that destruction and then the creation, which I lean on even to this day. There's also, so not professionally, but personally and energetically. So I'm going to give an example from um, James Redfield and the I don't remember which book it is in the series, but it's in the Celestine Prophecy series where energetically they're talking about reaching a certain vibration and maintaining that and then not being able to be seen or discovered by the bad guys. And they end up getting out of a tricky situation because of their ability to maintain this vibration. This actually happens. And the first time this happened to me, I was very confused and upset. But now again, I can reflect and say, you know what? I'm actually grateful for that happening and grateful for that not happening with some people. But the destruction is having certain relationships unfold in a certain way so you see that they no longer are beneficial to you and where you're going. And because you're growing and you've got your dreams and your goals and your ambitions and you're making moves, in order for you to keep making moves, there are certain people and situations that can no longer be supportive for you. So therefore, your circle needs to change, or the job needs to change, or the whatever needs to change. But from an energetic standpoint, it no longer matches, so it needs to go. And things that are in that old vibration are just naturally not going to come near you. And things that are in the new vibration will actually come near you. So I had to learn that, but it was the destruction of certain relationships that caused this understanding of, okay, well, this left, or this person is no longer in my life. Okay, well, that was a time suck. They did kind of influence my behavior, or I let them influence my behavior. But from that, I learned this and this and this. And now that I know this, I can create a new experience and fully step into this next phase. So the destruction of the relationship and the creation of new relationships that are supportive of where I'm going. I've had a lot of that in recent years. And sometimes it gets to the point, like I said earlier, where we are afraid to let go because it's new territory. We're afraid of what the other side is going to look like because we're comfortable. We know how to navigate certain waters and we stay there because, well, it's what we know, it's comfortable, and it's not so bad. It could be better, but it's not so bad. But we can't continue to grow and expand and do what we're supposed to do in this lifetime when we're just comfortable and complacent. So, knowing that sometimes we're in these circumstances where it actually is uncomfortable and it's counter to our growth and health in some instances, we have to make a choice to shift, to get out, or to go. Sometimes to go, sometimes to get out. And that can be hard. And I mean, I know this firsthand because certain circumstances around um, my corporate job just got to a point where it was either, you know what, my health, or I make some really, really big changes in this position that I don't know if I can actually make. But it was basically an either or. I made it to be an either or situation because that's how it felt. So the destruction of an identity of having, a certain profession, but the creation of prioritizing health and other things that really, really, really mattered to me more ultimately at the end of the day. And for that, I'm grateful because, well, I can actually, I'm going to get into that tomorrow because we're going to talk about flexibility tomorrow. But the destruction of kind of letting go of that identity and creating a new one of not, corporate person, but individual in society, coach, healer, magical person. Being able to create that, I couldn't fully create the latter from full on corporate. So I had to destroy that to create. In I think I mentioned Landmark before. It's a professional and personal development company. They offer amazing programs, and one of the things that they talk about is possibility and creation. But when we're so caught up in the muck of the day to day and the drama and the trauma and the beliefs and the victimhood and the just all the things that drag us down, when we're so caught up in that, how can we create clearly and intentionally and powerfully the things that we want and the things that we dream of for our lives? So in Landmark, they talk about evaluating everything and then basically breaking yourself down to build back up. And from that place of breaking yourself down, there's a space of nothingness. And from nothing, you can create anything you want. You can explore all the possibilities because from nothing, everything is possible. And I liken that to the destruction and the creation process because you have to break down, you have to see that there's something not working, be willing to shed it, and then create from that new space. Now, I've been in I've been in like website creation, business destruction, life creation and destruction mode for the last like 6 months. And it's starting to really, really hit hard recently because the clarity is coming. And because I've been willing to let go of certain things. Now, forcibly and voluntarily letting go of things, the clarity is coming because I'm in a more clear space. And it's interesting because the pace with which this is happening is Um, some of it's fast, but it all feels good. And I think that's the key because it all is aligned with, where I'm supposed to be. It all feels aligned. So therefore, some of it feels fast, but some of it feels like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. That's scary. But I'm creating. So I have to let go of some things that I've built up to create the new. So whether it's destroying an identity, destroying, you know, paying for certain services, and then creating the opportunity to pay for other services, um, letting certain things die down, and then intentionally picking other things back up. It's been a very interesting destruction and creation, and it was really, I'm glad I was in Africa when I was, so a couple months ago, because one of the things that you see, and this is with like farming in general, but anywhere where there's like open land, um, I'm glad that I was over there to kind of rekindle the relationship with nature, because in nature there's always destruction and creation. That's just the circle of life. There's always something dying and something being born or living or being recreated or repurposed. And they intentionally set fires to some of the bush because of overgrowth or whatever, but they call them maintenance or control fires. And when you have the maintenance or the control fire, it's on purpose because you're trying to create a more fertile, more fruitful environment for things to grow in the springtime, or whenever things are supposed to grow. And I'm reminded of kind of the maintenance fires because even a couple days ago, but this morning, I was like, I'm burning this down and I'm getting rid of this and I'm not doing this anymore and I'm not doing that and I am doing this, and I'm I'm in a space of certain things need to go because they no longer feel good, and I'm finally ready to get rid of them. So I'm so called putting the maintenance fire out because there's more fertile ground that needs to actually be present for the things that are germinating, for the things that are coming. So I'm grateful for the destruction and the creation because we all learn in the destruction process. We can't always see it, but we learn. We learn in the destruction process, and we're able to shed the things that no longer serve us so we can create from a more clear, stable, possible perspective of what can come, what is meant to be, or what we can even dream. We can dream more clearly from this place of nothingness, or of like the aftermath of destruction. So I'm grateful for these cycles because I'm seeing them and I'm like in them right now. And it's just, sometimes it's uncomfortable to be in change and like so much change in so little amount of time. But it's also cool to have the awareness of, I'm burning that down, I'm creating this, this is going to go, this is going to grow. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's not, but I'm learning through the whole thing. And I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to learn, we want to grow, and we want to do better. So we don't have to learn the same lesson twice, but also so we can help others and show others. So I'm so grateful for destruction and creation today because that is absolutely where I've been. And I'm excited to see where things go because there's so many things that are coming that feel expansive. I can't put my finger on all of them, but I know they feel good. And that's the beauty in destruction, because you know more good is coming. So I'm curious, can you be grateful for destruction and then creation and the cycle and the beauty and the things that come from the process and going through that cycle? Let me know.